I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your first feeder flash of the new year for Wednesday, January the 3rd, 2018. We're back to business. It's good to see a lot of y'all are still interested in what's going on in the cattle markets, and glad to be back and get back underway here with regular feeder flashes every business day. But look at the board for Tuesday. Live cattle futures, the February contract up at $1.80 to end the day at $123.35. Now look at your April. The next one out is sitting to a premium of that at $124.10. Then we have that huge drop off after April, getting into the summer months with a $9 drop off after April. So we've got to get these cattle finished with that April board to make them work. March feeder cattle up $4.20 on Tuesday to end the day at $146.87. And your cattle board, especially your feeder futures, have been up ever since that bearish cattle and feed report come out the Friday before Christmas. And just paid no attention to that. Been up all through that abbreviated week between Christmas and New Year's, and starting the new year off with higher markets for the first trading day of the new year. Now your spot January feeder cattle futures set at $149.52, which is decent, but that's still about $5 back of what the cash market is. You look at your weighted average for last week's fat cattle trade, which didn't happen until late Friday, right before the new year there, but 66,500 head, which is light, but not too bad for a holiday week there. But if you remember, we had the market was 123. That was $3 higher than the week before Christmas there. At 123, pretty much all in the 5-area feeding region. Lighter dress trade, and the dress trade was $5 higher at mostly 195. But look at your weighted average. Live steers had a weighted average in the 5-area feeding region at $122.84. That was up $2.87 from the previous week. Your dress steers average $194.50, but don't think that there was a lot of trade back of that $195, because your dressed heifer weighted average was $194.91. But dress steers average $194.50, and that was up $4.18 from the previous week on a dress basis. Box beef cutout values for last week there on the average of the weekly trade had choice cutouts at $202.35. That was up $2.21. Had your select average trade for last week $191.29, up $5.38. And that continues to whittle down that choice select spread. You wonder why your selects are going up. Now that the holidays are over and everything, people are minding their pocketbook a little bit, and it's been so bitter cold out. They're looking for crock pot beef, they're looking for roasts and things like that, comfort type foods, and they can get by with the cheaper select cuts on that. But whittle that choice select spread down to just over $11. But you look at your feeder markets, and or before we say that, we want to say one thing more about beef. But your USDA reports come out at the end of last year saying that we're expecting the U.S. consumers to break the 2004 record consumption of beef coming up this year in 2018. And you'd think that maybe everybody's gotten such a health conscious kick, and not that beef's not healthy, but a lot of people think it's not healthy. But thinking of people just hardly eating a radish and 2 carrots for breakfast, lunch, and supper. But a lot of the trendy diets right now are calling for more protein and less carbs, and that's actually helping our beef consumption, and we're expecting to break a record which was last set in 2004. But let's move on here to our feeder markets. What we're looking at now as we get into the new year is we're looking at farmers feeders. And I'm not saying farmer feeders like guys that farm that are feeding cattle out, which there's a lot more of those than there was several years ago. Most of them have already secured their winter project and have them on feed. They did that right after they got done with their harvesting. But the cattle that are available to buy now are farmer cattle. Most of your cowboys and your ranchers, especially out west and up in the mountain states, places like that, they sold their cattle. They sell their cattle in the fall. And even some of them didn't ship them maybe until November or something like that. But all those big ranches and your cowboy cattle are all gone. Now we're into farmer cattle. We're into guys that typically do not sell their cattle till after the first of the year, and that is your guys right in the Midwest, the lower part of that corn belt, right up through your Midwest, from northeast Oklahoma, the edges of Kansas, some in Kentucky, places like that, but all in Missouri. Spent a lot of time reporting markets around Missouri. January was always our biggest month. He's got so many diversified producers that row crop and have a herd of cows, and they don't grow those calves quite as fast. And then they like to do some supplemental feeding of those cattle there to put some more weight on them, but typically do not sell their cattle by and large until after the first of the year. So we've got a lot of those cattle to go, and some of those cattle are pretty well desired, but a lot of them are going to be pretty fleshy. There won't be any greenness to them at all. Of course, we're in the dead of winter. You're not going to have any green cattle to speak of anywhere. But you look at their real-time index late on Tuesday was sitting at 154.55, up $1.22 from the close of the previous day. Starting to get some volume back in there Tuesday, mainly because of some big sales at Joplin Regional Stockyards and Salina, Kansas, that went in your RTI on Beef Market Central there. But you look at your big sales on Tuesday. El Reno ended up not having a sale on Tuesday. They were planning to go back to business on this Tuesday, January the 2nd, but was expecting a lighter run, partly due to the holidays, partly due to the bitter cold. But they thought, you know what the heck, let's just hold those calves over and sell them on Wednesday like we always used to do. And they'll have a big sale on Wednesday with calves and yearlings combined there on Wednesday here the 3rd. But Joplin Regional Stockyards did not have their sale on Monday, New Year's Day, but they did have a sale on Tuesday and had a good run of 5,800 head. You would have thought it would have been a lot more curbed on the receipts there, but people are liking this market. They can't believe how well we come through the holidays. And your calves there sold $2 to $6 higher, which kind of surprises me that your lighter cattle, and I mean calves weighing all the way up into the mid-6s, are selling that much higher, which if you look at the way things are on the board and the complexion of things, you'd think the only cattle that would be selling higher is your big feeders that have a chance to finish out in April or in line with the April board. But sold the feeders steady there in Joplin. Now Joplin Regional Stockyards will have a special value added sale this Thursday the 4th, and they're expecting at least 5,000 head there, and all of those cattle will be long time weaned and on some type of a verified program there. But your other big sale I mentioned earlier was Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas. No recent comparison there, but if you look at the report on Cattle Market Central there, the automated report didn't have anything come out from the Federal State Market News Service yet, but you can get this report right as it comes together. And if you look at the popular weights there, with over 4,000 head on offer, was 913 head of 6-weight steers, averaging 659 at 164.30. Almost 750 head of 7-weight steers, average 743 at 160.64, and 388 head of 8 weights, averaging 819 at 156.21. That's pretty high, but helped out by this individual quote there in Salina of a good load of steers weighing right at 800 pounds, or 801, bring 163 on Tuesday. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.